everybody, Kim and Katrina and Pinto Bean here on the homestead. So I want to do an update with our elk and the processing of it and how it went. So as y'all know, we got our elk on the last day of shoulder season, and we were so lucky and so fortunate to get it. Not that we were feeling pressure to have to get something.
We were.
But we were feeling pressure to have to get something. So we did. And so it took us 4 hours out in the field dressing her and getting her quartered up, then back up to the house in our game bags. And then we hung her in the garage for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Roughly.
It's like 3.5, 4 days.
We would have let it go longer, but the temperatures here just got too warm on us. It was like between 36 and 40 degrees. And
it was supposed to be in like the mid 40s on, I think, Saturday.
Yep. But Thursday even, it was 40.
Yeah.
So we had to get on it a little bit quicker than we wanted to. But the process to do it was a 2-day event. So the first day, the two of us worked together for literally 5 hours. So that's 10 hours of processing the first day. We got the back straps done, a front leg and a back leg. And then the next day, same thing, 5 hours of work standing at the kitchen sink. And we did another front leg, another back leg, and the ribs. So 20 hours of just processing meat. And we're still not done. We still have to, what we did was cubed a bunch of stuff up. Like we got 30 pounds of cubes in bags to grind up to make our hamburger.
We actually have, I think, 65 total pounds of ground meat. 13 of that is going to be set aside for sausage.
Right. So we still have to grind all of our meat yet and grind and mix our sausage with pork butt or pork shoulder and seasonings and stuff like that. However, we can't do that yet because when we had our whole solar situation a couple weeks ago, we actually found out that our system needs an upgrade because we can't use certain appliances. We can't use our KitchenAid mixer, which we have a grinder for that. We think our Bose music player isn't working. We know that one of our blenders didn't work off the solar before, and it was always a mystery. The electrician couldn't figure it out, solar guy couldn't figure it out, but everything ran off of a generator. So when the solar guy was here with our episode week and a half or 2 weeks ago, we actually found out that we need an upgrade to our system.
Well, yeah, because he was baffled, right? And at that point, the generator was running to help charge everything. And we told him about our issue, and he came in the house, and we plugged in the KitchenAid, and she fired up. And it was like...
with the propane backup,
with
the whole house generator running.
Right.
But when the generator's not running...
then it didn't work.
It doesn't work.
So we need a firmware upgrade.
Right. So he actually called Schneider Electronics, which is what our system is, and turns out we need an upgrade. So he'll be coming up hopefully next week, Jack Isbell from Solar Montana, and hooking us up with that and getting that taken care of. All right. So anyway, back to the elk. So we can't grind all of the stuff, so it's all just frozen right now. Same with our deer that we processed. But with the elk, currently, we have 153 pounds of meat in the freezer. The deer, if you want to do a comparison, 54 pounds.
Yep.
54 pounds.
Now realize...
I think the back leg of the deer was even smaller than the front leg of the elk.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
When we processed it.
So we hung the meat up in the game bags, and we hung it from the garage ceiling.
Rafters. Yep.
Right. So when we got the deer, I was able to, climb up there and hang him.
Yeah.
So even the front leg of the elk, I had a hard time lifting above my head.
Right. I think the back leg, the hind leg of the elk probably weighed 60 pounds.
Yeah, it was 60, 65 pounds.
Yeah. So that was a little challenging getting it up. So next year, we might put up a pulley system. If we even need to get meat next year. We may have enough meat that we don't even need to hunt next year. So last year when we got here, we didn't have licenses because we weren't residents for longer than 6 months. So we didn't hunt last year, but we had enough to make it through the winter with some fish from my Uncle Ross that passed away, and a bunch of beef and roasts and things like that were left in his freezer that the family generously shared with us. So we had enough meat for last year. I think we have enough meat now for the next 2, maybe 3 years for the two of us. So if anybody in town is in need of any kind of meat, please let us know. You guys have been so generous and so kind and so loving to us that we can share at this point. Everybody has shared with us, so please let us know if anybody needs anything. It's just going to be a situation of getting it from us to town, because right now we're in a weird kind of place where we don't have enough snow to drive the snow machine, but there's still 4-foot drifts where we can't get the Ranger through.
There's some crazy. I mean, it's snowing right now, but it's like 40 degrees, so nothing's really sticking.
No, it's super light. It's little tiny stuff, but we don't have enough snow on the ground right now to get in and out of here adequately. But if anyone needs anything, we'll figure out how to get it to you. Bottom line. So anyway, 153 pounds of meat. We cut it in all different kinds of cuts. We did steaks, we did roasts, we did strips, we did cubes. I did smaller cubes for stir fry. We have some chunks that we're actually going to slice for like steak sandwiches and stuff like that.
Cheesesteaks, I can't wait.
And then, like I said, we're going to make our burger and our sausages after that. So we're in good shape this year. And speaking of that, just in general in good shape. Katrina, let's take a little walk and we'll look at some of our supplies that we still have that we grew this year. So here we are still in our unfinished dining room, but that's the project for the winter. So we still have some of our potatoes that we grew. We're down to one little onion, but that's okay, because what we do is we actually cut our onions up and we put them in the freezer, and they're already cut up and in bags for stews and soups and anything we need. A couple of our herbs are done. We still have some
orange balm.
Orange balm here.
We're gonna make tea.
Yep. We have a couple what are these called?
Butternut squash.
Butternut squashes and a couple spaghetti squash back here. So we still have a few of those. And this is one of the coolest things, our tomatoes. So I just keep them down here because it's cool down here. But take a look in this bucket. We still have tomatoes that are ripening right now.
And I picked those in October?
Yeah, right before the frost. So it still smells like yummy outsides. But look at that. I mean, some of those are beautiful things. So we still have plenty of food that we grew as well. And we're doing just fine.
And this is actually some rosemary that we're drying. Kim has to take care of that.
Yep. So thanks, Mom. That came off of the rosemary plant bush that you sent us.
Football game in the background.
But we also have all of our canned stuff that we did this year too. We did a ton of tomatoes that we canned. So we did pretty good this year.
And we did rosehip jam.
We did rosehip jam. We did pretty good this year. So like I said, we still have a bunch of work to do. And Katrina, come on in and zoom over here on my. So I told you that my shot went straight through her front side, literally straight through the heart. I took a picture of it. If anybody wants to see it, you can. It's, there's blood in the cavity, and then it lodged and hit the back wall of her rib cage. So come on in here. So you see, this is the back of the bullet, which butts up here. And then the front of the bullet mushroomed. This is a 30-06, by the way. And that was just lodged right on her back rib cage. So that's why we had no exit wound. When we found her and she was laying down, there was maybe a pool of blood this big there, which unfortunately meant that all the blood from the heart was inside her cavity. But she was in really good shape for having been there overnight. Not to gross anybody out, but her gut sac was still intact. Her urine sac was still intact. The windpipe was good. Some of the meat way up at the neck we didn't take, only because the cape, which is the really heavy fur that they have, holds a lot of heat in there. And as we were cutting, it still did feel a little bit warm, so we actually left that for the critters in the woods. And speaking of the critters in the woods, we've gone back to check the site, and there's nothing left. The spine is picked clear. Her head is gone, eyes, tongue, everything. So Mother Nature doing her work. Even the pelt, the whole hide, is gone. Like you can see, all the fur is pulled out, which the birds will use for nesting. The squirrels will use for nesting. But the whole hide is gone. Everything is gone. So again, on the homestead, everything gets reused. And it went back into the earth, which is kind of cool. So I'll wrap it up just by saying we're super grateful. This year for us, it was all about timing and being in the right place at the right time, because we were out for what, like a month and a half? Like, how long were we out hunting?
Well, I mean,
the whole, from the start of the season until literally the final day of our shoulder season in our region.
Our district
was the last day of it. But we had been out early morning, in the evening, all day sometimes.
Like through general season, like
that super cold snap. Like, we were sitting places, we were laying places, we were walking, we were hiking up mountains, we were down in valley, we were all over the place. And the animals, I feel at this point to us, presented themselves, and we took that opportunity because we had to. This is the lifestyle we're living. Obviously, none of it is for trophy for us. Everything is for necessity. Even parts of the animal that we're not using, we save and we cook up for the dog. We will go back to the sites where the bones are in the spring, and we'll bring them back to the property, and we're going to burn them up, or I'll grind them up, and then that bone meal is going to go right into the gardens. So everything gets used, but we're just super, super grateful. But yeah, so we have 153 pounds of elk meat and 54 pounds of deer meat. Well, a little less. We've already eaten some of each. But if anybody needs anything, please let us know. And the next adventure we're going to try is in the spring and summer. We're going to try fishing. We tried it once last year while Mom and Jack were here, and we were not very successful. We didn't know what we were doing. So we've actually bought a couple of new poles. Just ugly poles. They're called ugly poles.
Ugly sticks.
Ugly sticks. And we're going to try fishing. So, speaking of fishing, I do remember fishing with my grandfather when I was little, up at my uncle's farm in the Poconos, Uncle Duffy's farm, and catching fish. And then we forgot to bring them home. So we didn't, and I was little. I don't know, 5, 6, maybe, something like that. Forgot to bring them home. So we didn't get to process those down in the basement of my grandmother's house. But I do remember processing squirrels with my grandfather. Like, just being a little tiny thing, standing on a stool at the old-fashioned sink down in the basement, and just, it was like 26 squirrels or something. And I'm just there helping and, doing my thing. And I do remember my dad getting a fox at some point. I don't remember a lot of other small game. I remember eating a lot of small game. Pheasants, squirrels, pigeon, dove, grouse, all that kind of stuff. My grandmother would just make meat pies. So, going into that, with Patrina and I trying fishing in spring and summer, it's going to be a new adventure, I did some fishing as a kid, not a ton.
I remember fishing once with my dad, and not having a whole lot of fun. I wasn't one to be very patient as a child, if you know me at all.
No.
But he took me crabbing a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's
even
cool.
Like in a little boat.
Yeah, very cool.
But
I remember fishing down at Lake Lenape with frozen corn. My mom would send us with frozen corn.
I remember those stories.
And Wonder white bread. We would take and make little balls out of it, and we would fish with that. So anyway, processing animals was, smaller animals was part of my upbringing. But large animals, I've shot deer as an adult, again, up at the farm, but we always just gutted them out and then brought them home. So we'd drive home from the Poconos and take them to a processor, and they'd do all the work. So I had never processed something this big at all. Patrina and I watched a lot of videos. And the deer was a good practice one for us first at 54 pounds, getting 54 pounds of meat out of that, because, man, we just both put our heads down, and I think we worked for an hour straight without even talking. Just each of us doing our thing and getting it done. And the same thing happened with the elk. Like, the first hour, I don't even remember talking. She started on the front, I started on the back. We just started doing our things. We met in the middle, and it was quite an experience, because having never done it before, you just gotta focus and know that you're doing it for the right reason, that you're doing it to sustain your life, our lives. Because
this isn't
it's
like
a hard
some crazy
process.
I'm doing this for a trophy, or
right.
this is life sustaining, how,
like, even as
how
a
you
police,
feed your family.
Even as a police officer, I would have to shoot deer that got hit by a car and they were suffering and about to expire, and I had to shoot deer, and raccoons and all kinds of stuff. And that was totally different. But now shooting an animal and then processing it is quite an experience. And on the elk, we actually did what's called the gutless method. We didn't actually slice her open and gut her out. We worked around. We watched a really cool video about it, and we worked around all of the guts and stuff like that to get all of the meat off and processed. So there was never a chance of us, puncturing the gut sac or the urine sac or damaging and polluting any of the meat. So it was pretty cool to do it that way. But it was quite an experience. And then my mom did text me and actually told me that we got the elk on my grandfather's birthday, which is pretty cool because I have all those memories, with him. And I think I'm living my life the way my grandfather would have liked to have done it. Just out in this rugged wilderness and chopping our own wood to keep our house warm and hunting for our own food and growing our own food. And we have our chickens, and we also have 10 chickens in the freezer right now. That was one of the first things we processed together. Well, Katrina did squirrels and we did rabbits last year.
Yep.
So we started with small stuff to get her used to just knife work and handling and stuff like that. And then we did our 10 chickens. So we have chickens in the freezer right now too. We have rabbits in the freezer. And our laying chickens are on hiatus right now. They're going on strike.
Somebody woke up because we're getting, 1 or 2 eggs.
Right, but they've been on strike for a little while. They were going through a molt, and we kind of changed their food a little bit. And
I think the weather there
was so cold.
All of a sudden it snowed way early.
Yeah.
Then it got frigid way early.
Yeah. So this actual last trip of groceries, we had our friend Christina meet us from town halfway and bought us 4 dozen eggs. They were $5 a dozen. I couldn't believe it. $20. Isn't that what a whole 40-pound bag of feed costs us?
I think so, yeah.
For the chickens? Just ridiculous. Anyway, I'm getting a little off track, but we have plenty of food. It was quite an experience for us, and now we get to share that with you. And thanks for following and commenting and just everything. So we're gonna do another video later on today, maybe tomorrow, about the elk ivories, which are their canines that are in their teeth, and how we harvested them out, and what we're doing with some of our sheds and things like that. So we'll do another video for your entertainment. All right, cheers from the homestead. Love y'all. Take care. Bye.